Everybody's eyes are, can you copy? All right, well, we're going to continue on our track, and I'm excited to welcome our next speaker, Barry O'Neil, the CEO of StoryToys, which is award-winning mobile games and interactive books for kids. And Barry is also a mobile 1.0 pioneer, which we will hear about, I'm hoping, a little bit more in his presentation. But without further ado, welcome, Barry. Very good.
I'll switch off, right? Got me. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I'm not going to really talk about mobile 1.0 dark days.
Try it.
I'm just sort of over it. But I'm going to talk about the kids category and also one of StoryToys' motivations to get more into licensed IP. The question that I ask really, or I am often asked, is are licenses in license to earn money? Or specifically, can brands be used to substitute marketing in the kids category? I'm going to give you a spoiler now, and the answer is no on both accounts, just in case you need to get away quickly. But let me go through some of the details on that. Firstly, I'll give you a little bit this is the easiest way for me to show you about StoryToys. I've got a little video here. Have a video? Yeah. So that's also, in there you see a number of licensed IPs and original IP. I'm going to talk to you about some of the motivations now. Without playing this video for too long, this is actually our first ever kids product, and it's been in the market for 5 years come this December. It's sold consistently well as a long-tail product, and it was a great first launch for us. It launched just before the iPad's first Christmas. It still goes strong. You can see it's an interactive book, and it's based on public domain IP on Rapunzel. So when you hit the App Store back in Christmas, really back over the course of 2011, and you searched for Rapunzel, you got two things came up in the App Store. So there was our Rapunzel and there was Tangled from Disney. So it was really, really great product for us. Of course, the problem with public domain IP is that it's public domain, so anybody can produce a version of Rapunzel. And a year later, and this is just a year later, the store looked like this. Now, if you notice the little scroll bar at the side, this is just the first of 7 pages of apps that came up when you searched for Rapunzel. I'm glad to say we're still #1, but like #2, but Disney Infinity, Disney Princess, and then right down through, there's a lot of content there. So it proved to us, again, public domain IP got our company started, but ultimately public domain IP would destroy us if we continued on that route. We were, I guess, faced with a number of questions. Should we license in or develop original IP? If we're developing, so if we're licensing in, should we go literary, cinematic, or TV? Mobile 1.0 era, and I'm talking mobile 1.0, I'm talking Java games. There was a rush for film-based IP. People used to license in film content all of the time because it gave you a little bit of brand profile. And then our next question was, would we go, contemporary or heritage? Did we want something that kids and parents would know, or did we want something timeless? We've proven ourselves adapting classic IP, but in the end, we decided we would try to do both. So one point that we came up with quite quickly was that we weren't going to go near cinema, and I'll give you an insight on that. And now, it's very, very easy to, I suppose, be attracted to Hollywood IP. It's kind of easy to get it. You can talk to any number of licensors who have a kids movie coming out, they want you to make an app. But fundamentally the problem is interest over time. This is a very popular, we thought, when we were offered. This is Shrek 2. So Shrek 2 is the theatrical release. We see great spike. This is Google Trends, by the way. Anybody who's involved in licensing and content needs to be intimately familiar with Google Trends as a tool. So this is like Shrek, the IP. So, and there's Shrek 2 DVD, and we can see Google Trends is spiking. Again, this is 2005. This is Shrek 3. Shrek 3 DVD. Now, why these spikes are important is that ultimately, this is the marketing that's happening around about the time of the theatrical release or the DVD release. And this sort of marketing will lift your IP in the App Store too. So you want to make sure that these are big as possible and sustained for as long as possible. You can see that by 2011, Shrek Final, Shrek is just gone. It's not important anymore. So, this is a key thing that we discovered earlier on was not to go for cinematic IP. I learned this lesson in the Mobile 1.0 space and development game for the Miami Vice relaunch movie. It wasn't a great success for me, I'm not particularly proud of it. But we know that the release windows for these things are very, very short. What you really want to see in Google Trends is something like this. This is a TV IP. TV IP is great because it's persistent, it's multi-season, it's multi-episode, and repeats. So at any given time, with a strong kids IP, you might have a new season that's running for 26 episodes. You might have reruns of the old ones. You've got every one of those in the marketing opportunity for your app. So this is why we looked at TV. But also you've got to be concerned about regionality with TV as well. If you license something in the US, will it be popular in the UK or Europe and other markets? So you need to be familiar with these things. In this case, it was Chuggington. And this was the trend of interest for Chuggington. The one below was another, sorry, that's actually Chuggington. Yeah, sorry, this global Chuggington, and then I think this UK at the bottom there. So we looked at the regional interest, we said, well, okay, very, very strong. We knew it was strong enough in the US and rising in the US, it's still a big seller there for us. We knew it was strong in Japan. It basically had strong global interest, so we decided to go with that IP. This is another IP that we went for. This is interest over time. So when I said we decided we would do both contemporary and heritage, this is the heritage one that we chose. That spike in 2009 was actually the 40th anniversary of this particular IP, and this is an IP that I was familiar with from my own childhood. So this was actually released in 1969 for us. So that shows the level of interest that it still has 40 years later. So we went after this one because it was just like Mom's Top 10 book list, voted best bedtime story in the UK. This is a Google Doodle, and this is the US list, which was number 1 was Where the Wild Things Are, and number 2 was Brainward Caterpillar in terms of this is actually teachers' favorite books. So we decided to go for that. The only problem was that somebody already had the rights for it. This was made Casual Connect.
Now I'm going to show you some of the nuts.
In 2010, I think, 2011.
I had the experience of the Very Hungry Caterpillar. People know the book? A couple of people.
We didn't have the rights at this
Let's
point.
have a look at that. Sorry.
And I was talking about quality in licensed IP, or quality in translation of IP during this conference.
This app is a disgrace.
So this was the first application that had been developed, the Hungry Caterpillar.
Firstly, it's a book that is designed for 2-year-olds. It is designed teaches very, very simple principles. I could have built this in PowerPoint. A 2-year-old, they can't read. Tap on the apple. What happens? Tap on the apple again. Nothing happens. Tap on the apple. So, okay, so the parent comes along and says, okay, you've got to start with level 1. Please eat the lemon. So the Very Hungry Caterpillar is about munching fruit. No much now.
So you get the idea. Anyway,
this is an example.
A couple of months after, coincidentally, the phone rang with the Aaron Hall folks.
That actually is damaged.
And they said, hey, we're looking for somebody to make an app based on the Very Hungry Caterpillar. I said, oh, really? I thought there was one of those already. So the problem that we had was, we couldn't have the book rights. And the reason we couldn't have the book rights is because the contract was put in place in 1969, and Puffin owned or Penguin, owned the rights to the stories. We could have the characters, but not the text. And so we're thinking, okay, well now we know why the other app was like that, because you couldn't make the app with the book. And also, you know, there were very strict brand rules, and rightly so. It's an IP that's very carefully protected, been very, very well and honored over the years. So around about 2D graphics and that sort of thing. I don't have time to show you the first app that we did, but we had about 6 weeks to make the app by the time we had the contract signed. And yeah, actually I do have time, so let me just click back out of PowerPoint here. I'm presenting from an iPad, and it's going smoothly so far, so I shouldn't really tempt fate. So we made a first app, and we were very much within the brand guidelines. I.e., the Caterpillar was facing the right direction. We were using 2D assets. We were using, just click in here, I'll just say start over. It wasn't very animated.
Did you know?
It didn't use the story of the Hungry Caterpillar, but it used the world of Eric Carle and the other characters. It's been a great application for us.
Can you tap on the fruits you want the
But it really wasn't what we wanted to make.
caterpillar to eat next? Try to avoid the sweet treats.
So we can play simple games on the pages, and eat the fruit, avoid the sweets. And it was nice, and it sold well, and the important thing is it made it out in time for the, I think the 45th anniversary of the very Hungry Caterpillar. But really, we wanted to do something very different. Yes, of course. And, you know, we wanted to, that was the demo I just did. You know, we wanted to do something which, I suppose, really captured what we felt children felt was the brand essence, not necessarily the art of Eric Carle. And we knew we could only work in 2D, but then we said, well, wait a second, you have a 3D Hungry Caterpillar, it's a plush toy. So, you know, can we translate a plush toy into the interactive space? And we came up with the 3D Hungry Caterpillar then. Again, I'm going to tempt fate here, and I'm going to drop into a demo, see if it works, and it did. Okay, it's just going to relaunch a second. This is actually, I just realized before I got up on stage, this is actually the Japanese market version, which is a different presentation to the international market. And by the way, that's a tip that's not in here, but really, you really have to look at how a brand in each market is represented. In Japan, it's a little bit different. So, this is our interactive plush toy. We have lots of fun with them. And you remember I was complaining about the lack of munching noises, but put this down here. There you go. He's munching away. And of course, this app became, this app's been a huge success for us. And it was because we managed to just get the brand interpreted in the right way for the technology, but being respectful to the brand as well. We're currently working on a new version of this. So I'm mindful of the fact that I have 6 out of 10. Okay, great. So I guess the questions that I get asked, that's one of our experiences. It was how do we build trust with that licensor? It's worth noting that I actually had made a call to the Eric Carle folks in about, I think, 2010. It was really 3 years before we got our product into the market. Similarly, the very first conversation I had with another one of our big licensors happened at least two years before we signed a contract. So what I would say, working with the licensor, is patience is the key thing. And the second thing is also patience. And then the third thing, this is going, patience, presence, perseverance. You really have to work hard to get a licensor to trust you, to prove that you are a worthy partner, to prove that you have respect for the brand, and also in some cases, in this kind of scrappy world of app startups, that you're still there 6 months later. Because this is an awful issue that happens. So you'll find that maybe you have a conversation with the licensor, and then they've had a bad experience in the past, somebody's gone out of business. It's happened with a lot of companies in the kids app space. And they just want to make sure that you're still around. When you say that perseverance, let me just see what my next point is. You've got to watch out for things like review times, approvals, and great ideas. So when I say review times, we're all used to where we came from at StoryToys. We came from the position of making our own applications. We didn't have to get them reviewed by any third parties or any other brand holders. We put things in contracts that would say, you've got a week to review this and a week to approve it. And you might still be waiting 2 or 3 months later, to get through a certain cycle. So it's a lot slower to develop licensed applications, and get these approvals. Great ideas. great ideas are the great idea the day before you're due to submit the bill to Apple that the licensor has that basically will add 6 months to your development process. So you really have to manage your licensors quite carefully in that regard. I'm happy to talk to, oh yeah, sorry, again, I asked myself, but yeah, so project management is absolutely key, and managing the expectations of your licensors is key as well. Remember, generally who you're licensing from will not be as technologically savvy as you are. May think that you can do all sorts of crazy stuff, build $1 million application with a $100,000 budget or a $10,000 budget. So you just have to manage that. I get asked about these a lot. I'm not going to go into here. What are typical license terms? What do you watch out for? Well, usually you're going to pay a minimum guarantee and fix a royalty rate. Against a revenue share. Often you'll have some cost recoupment, so you can recover some of your costs before you start paying out to your licensor. You have to think about channels, territories, and platforms. We don't do it unless it's global. We don't really do carve-outs. It's just difficult to manage. It upsets your relationship with your platforms like Apple, Google, Amazon. If they can only publish it in the US, but they can't publish it in the UK or things like that. Very, very rare would we allow carve-outs. Things you have to watch out for, kind of tier and scaling agreements, let's say, success-based. If it's doing more, then we'll make more. Just becomes very difficult to manage. Also, be careful that you are licensing what you think you're licensing. It's like that eBay picture of the box of the MacBook, and then the user buys the MacBook, and inside they get the box with the MacBook, and there's a brick inside it. You'd be surprised at what people think they're licensing sometimes that they don't actually get. For example, we knew damn well that we were not licensing the story of the Very Hungry Caterpillar, but it's quite easy to think that we might have to think, hey, we're getting a Hungry Caterpillar, we get the text. I've seen situations before. In fact, when I was in the dark days of mobile gaming, I inherited a license for a very, very well-known talent show IP that involves people on stage singing, competing, and the audience voting them in. I'm not going to say which one it is. But my predecessor in that company had licensed this particular IP and spent a very, very large amount of money licensing this IP. I went in and discovered he hadn't licensed the theme tune, which was a key factor of this, nor had he licensed the judges' likenesses. So suddenly you just license a name, and you're diverging from the brand, but it's great for the licensor or terrible for the licensee in our case. Don't leave anything to figure out. Don't figure out anything after you've launched something. Don't leave anything. Just you're all best friends when you sign a contract, but not necessarily when that first royalty payment is due. Watch out for nasty clauses like change of control. You get bought, then you have to pay us X amount of money. It's just ridiculous. Research your brands well. It's sort of obvious. Now I'm coming to the end of my time. I know. So what impact has licensing had on our business? Then the other question was, is licensing an effective substitute for marketing? I did spoil this earlier on, but let's look at this. This is one of our licensed products. Licenses will give you a strong, long tail. It's really important. We have some of our own products that have a tail like this. I can't go into the numbers, but the spike is a decent 5-figure number from launch week. And this was not Editor's Choice promoted on iOS or anything. This was just what it did on the basis of some small featuring. But you can see it consistently goes very, very well. I actually thought I had a different slide in. But there are many, you'll see towards 2015, you'll see there's a little uptick there. And it was, I think, the particular TV show had launched we launched the localized version in Russia to coincide with the TV show release. So you can see good numbers, and they're sustained over a long period of time, and we're very, very happy about that. Whereas this wasn't a particularly strong launch. This is one of our original IPs, not one that's done very, very well, but I use that as an extreme. That is also it's the same scale, so that's also like a decent 5-figure number, but then it just does nothing. But it was promoted quite heavily. And then down at the end, and I think we released a second version of it later, got a small spike in the original. So you can see the difference between the kind of outperform, top of chart success, and then the kind of tail revenues. That's what licensing does. The other thing is it really adds to discoverability. If you search for the Very Hungry Caterpillar, you can see that alongside the merchandising, alongside the box, the Wikipedia page, your application is up there on the first page of Google. That's really important. Of course, cross-promotion. Now, we're very strong proponents of cross-promoters anyway. When we sell applications, we have a cross-promotional window. And you are widening your audience. The licensed application might be just the entry point to all of your original IP. And why do I bring that up? Like, if you're involved in licensing, you have to be mindful of your own brand. And you are standing on the shoulders of giants, to use that too often used phrase. So you have to be mindful that you're still creating your own value. So for us, we try to keep a careful balance. Our 2014 sales mix, for example, this is gross, not net, would have been about 41% license-based. But that license-based content was really helping us promote our original IP, which was around about the 60% of our sales came from original IP. Important to maintain that balance. If you just work with licenses, that rug could be pulled from underneath you at any point. I won't get into this, I'm running out of time. So this is our portfolio mix. So we've got 6 licenses down the side here. A slide that people ask me to cover a lot is how does that translate into sales. This is our general sales. About 84% coming from Apple, 9% Google Play, 7% Amazon. What I would say about Google Play is we have noticed a significant uptick since the launch of Play for Families. So just be aware of that. It's actually been quite a successful launch for Google. This is how a licensed product works out, however. iOS App Store 60%, and it's not because iOS is lower, it's because licensed content works really, really well on Google Play because of the discoverability issue. And also on Amazon, because Amazon are great cross-promoters, they are direct marketers. So whenever anybody searches for Chuggington, they're looking for a toy, a book, or a DVD, the app comes up there as well. So here you go. So basically, it's not a marketing substitute, but it really does help. It aids discovery, builds reputation. You know, a good relationship will involve co-marketing with the licensor, you know, and really a strong ability for them to be able to promote your content as well as you promoting theirs. But that's the same really of any partnership. Be very, very selective and research thoroughly. There are lots of IPs out there that have multiple applications already and just will not move the needle. There are also applications that are sort of flash in the pan. There's one that we did license recently, released, didn't do very well for us. We certainly recovered our funds, and then of course the TV season gets cancelled in a major market, and you know, so do our plans for a second application because we just know we won't make the money back. So just research very, very thoroughly. And as I was just saying, maintain a balance. It's really important to build your own brand too. Why is there a Power Ranger there? That's our next licensed IP. It's coming out at the end of August. So go Power Rangers. So thank you for that. I'm happy to take any questions you might have either on here or off.
Any questions? I have the mic.
No questions.
Will you stay outside in case anyone is
Yeah.
too shy to ask you a question?